What is going on, YouTube? So just got done with my NFL rankings and wanted to come back with today's top 10. So it is March 29th right now on Tuesday. Yeah. And probably won't get the video posted till tomorrow. So look out for 2 top 10s tomorrow. So today I kind of wanted to wrap up my most hated series. Not my personal most hated series, but my series where I talk about the most hated teams or players. And today I want to do my top 10 most hated players in sports. Now, I could go a lot of ways with this. I could go with, I could just go by everyone's flat out most hated, or I could go with my personal. Really, I went with just the general most hated, not my personal. I guess obviously my personal account takes a little bit into it, but overall, this is just the most hated players, and man, there's a lot to choose from. With the amount of social media exposure nowadays, there's just really no limit to choosing who could go on this list. There's a few players I left out that just couldn't fit on the list, and just if there's any players you think are hated, you got to keep in mind too that for a player to be in this top 10, and basically for them to be in this top 10 and not be in one of the 4 major sports in the U.S., they've got to be very hated again. And so let's go ahead and start my honorable mentions. Now, I have 6 of them. These are just the guys I really couldn't leave off the list but didn't find space in the top 10. So I've got Ryan Braun, the outfielder from Milwaukee Brewers, obviously because of the whole steroids thing, lying to everyone, and then coming back and still kind of has that douchebag aura to him. It's a little, I don't know if he always had it with him because you didn't really notice before, but if anything, it's magnified now. Alex Ovechkin, I believe left winger for the Washington Capitals. Switches between just a winger for the Washington Capitals. And he just, for me, I think a lot of people hate him, one, because he shows off a lot more than other NHL players. I don't really care about that. The only reason I don't like Ovechkin, or the only reason I think I wouldn't like Ovechkin, is just because I think he's a shitty defensive player. I don't think he's a good two-way player, and I think he's an extremely overrated in that sense of the word. I do think he's one of the best scorers in the NHL, though, and has maybe been the best NHL or scorer in the NHL since the lockout back 10 years ago. Tim Tebow, currently a free agent. I don't know if he'll get signed again. I'm sick of hearing him in the news for no reason. I think that's most people's cause with it. He's not a good quarterback. He's got no arm. I think he could have been successful at another position. He's an extremely athletic dude, but kind of like Jordan Lynch in Northern Illinois, if you guys remember that quarterback a couple of years ago. I mean, there's always those guys that are good running quarterbacks, got a lot of heart, but they just can't throw. All right, my next one is the cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks, Richard Sherman. So, again, media plays a large role in how much he's hated. I think that the media exposure was taken off of him a little bit this year. I don't know if it was because the Seahawks didn't make it to the Super Bowl, because they had a little bit of an off year compared to the way they've been in recent years, or if it was just because because Richard Sherman had a little bit of a down year and was a little bit quieter with the media. Either way, I think that maybe 2 years ago he would have been in this top 10, maybe last year, but I think he quieted down a little bit this year. Next one is the Pittsburgh Penguins center, Sidney Crosby. Keep in mind there's no NHL players actually in the top 10. It seems to be a relative downtime for hate in the NHL. Sidney Crosby I believe this was the first year he's been relatively or almost fully healthy and not been selected to an NHL All-Star team, which is mind-boggling for me because during my lifetime, the players starting in 2005, 2006 are the first set of rookies that I very closely and consciously been able to pay attention to throughout my life. And seeing Sidney Crosby, who's always been pretty much has always been one of the top 3 players in my generation. It was weird. So I'm not a personal fan of Sidney Crosby. I think obviously everyone thinks he's kind of a pussy for a hockey player. He's a great player, and he had a big rivalry with Ovechkin, which leads, again, to a lot of hate. And my last one is the Real Madrid forward Cristiano Ronaldo. There's a lot of soccer. Soccer creates a whole nother discussion for this, but maybe the most popular player in the world outside of Leo Messi, also the most hated player by far. Real Madrid as a whole is probably the most hated team in the world, maybe besides Man U. Again, one of the most popular also. It's one of those things that goes on both ends of the spectrum. Cristiano Ronaldo seems like that guy that's in love with himself, which I see nothing wrong with, to have that type of confidence, I think, especially if you're that fucking good, go for it. But again, when you got that type of confidence, a lot of people are going to hate you, especially when you're that great. Like I said, when you've won as many Ballon d'Ors as he has, and when you've been that good for that long, like I said, you're going to get a lot of hate. When you play for a team like that, you're going to get a lot of hate. There's a lot of factors that culminate to Cristiano Ronaldo probably being the most hated soccer player in the world. But again, I live in the U.S. This is more of a U.S. list. All right, so moving to the top 10, and at number 10, I've got Kobe Bryant, shooting guard for the Los Angeles Lakers his last year. Now, I had to slide him down a little bit compared to where he would normally be. It's his last year. Everyone's rooting for him, I feel like. Lakers aren't going to make the playoffs. There's no reason to not want them to win. Kobe has honestly not had a terrible year scoring-wise. Obviously not his best year, or not even close to being at his best. He's 38 years old, 39 maybe. I'm not exactly sure on his age right at this minute. He was 38 at the beginning of the season. And obviously through the years winning multiple championships with the Lakers, parting ways with Shaq, that caused a big stir. Everything that went downhill the last couple years didn't help. With the personal Lakers fan base, and the way the Lakers just are as a team, probably the most hated NBA team. Again, doesn't help either. So at number 9, I've got one of the new emergers on this list, and that is Cam Newton. So I think there was 3 big factors to Cam Newton being on this list. One and the biggest one was the dab. 2 was, again, when you become that good that quick with that much confidence, you're gonna get hate. It happens. And then 3 is the way he acted after the Super Bowl. And I'll be honest, that's the only one that I really have a problem with personally. If you're going to lose the right way. I hate people that are shitty losers. It's annoying. Win the right way, lose the right way. It's all part of knowing, or I guess just acting like you've been there before in sports. Again, I don't mind confidence. I think confidence is something everyone should have. Everyone should believe in themselves to an unbelievable degree, and everyone should have as much fun as Cam Newton's been having. But again, a lot of people feel the opposite about that, feel like there should be one way to do it. You should stick to the status quo, do whatever your coach says, all that, and Cam Newton is definitely not that style. So at number 8, I've got Floyd Mayweather Jr. So the only non-Big Four player on the top 10, and again, by far the most hated person in boxing right now. Obviously Pacquiao fans don't like him at all after what happened with the fight. He did win clean. Pacquiao, I'm not sure if that rematch is ever going to happen, but Pacquiao wants it for sure. And Floyd Mayweather Jr., I think he's a business genius. There's no doubting that. He knows how to market himself, and a lot of the ways that comes off is very arrogant. And again, a lot of people hate people that are super successful and arrogant. I don't know why. Some people, I've even gone to the degree of hearing people say that he doesn't even deserve that much money. And I guess if you're in the sense of someone's individual morals, I guess not. But I think that he's a business genius. He's got an unbelievable amount of money just because, like I said, he knows how to market himself. Number 7, I've got, honestly, probably my personal most hated player on this list, maybe besides Tom Brady, and that is Bryce Harper, the outfielder for the Washington Nationals. This dude just, I feel like he doesn't know how to carry himself as a person. Again, I don't mind outlandish confidence, but when you go out of your way to be a douche just to be a douche, I've met Bryce Harper before. I mean, met as in probably had like a 30-second conversation with him, heard him having conversations with other people. It's just one of those people you get to read on real quick. And yeah, I mean, stemming anywhere from the douche hawk that he used to have to, I won't lie, I understand where it comes from. I think that, again, I don't mind having confidence in yourself, but I think there's a big difference in confidence in yourself and carrying yourself with a swagger like Kobe, like I said, like Cam Newton, you look at any of the greats, even Tom Brady, I think he carries himself with a swagger that's fine. Ovechkin, some of the other players on this list, even though they're hated, even Richard Sherman and Ronaldo. For me, it's Bryce Harper's just personally like a douche. Like I said, I think that sorry if you're a Bryce Harper fan, but I just think his timing's off. He just doesn't seem like a cool person. For me, he just doesn't seem like a cool person. I don't think he's a person that really can be able to handle the spotlight. I think that he would overdo it. I think he's just, like I said, I just don't think he's just personally, I don't think he'd be a cool dude. Number 6, sorry, that was just a little bit of a personal tangent there. So, at number 6, I've got the Dallas Cowboys, Tony Romo. So, again, don't hate him personally, but he's on one of the most hated teams in sports, in the Dallas Cowboys, playing for one of the most hated owners in sports, in Jerry Jones. And he's had one of the most controversial careers. Again, choke artist has kind of been one of his biggest labels. And again, even Cowboys fans, while they've got more hope in him than ever, don't really like him. He doesn't do great in the playoffs. He's been up and down throughout his entire career. He's had a lot of injury troubles, and he's not very good in the clutch. I don't think that he's like overconfident or anything like that. I think he carries himself with a good amount of confidence, not too much, not too little. But, it again goes back to the beginning. Most hated player on probably one of the most hated teams in sports. Number 5, and I understand where this is coming from, Houston Rockets center. Well, I know where the hate is coming from for him. The Houston Rockets center, Dwight Howard. So, Harden could have been on this list, but I like Harden's game. I mean, I understand he flops a little bit too much, but I think that he's actually a really good offensive player. I just think that Dwight Howard's regressed so much. He just doesn't know how to handle himself as a basketball player. I think he's afraid of the spotlight. I think that he's super unable to handle playing with other big egos. I mean, that's not just me. That everyone knows that at this point. I mean, you see what happened with Kobe. I get it. Kobe can be hard to play with, and even Shaq struggled at times, and Shaq's got one of the biggest. Shaq's played with a lot of good players. Was able to win a lot of championships, but Dwight Howard to me is the opposite of Shaq. He's the opposite of what a center that has championship level talent with like a third grader's attitude. That's what I think of Dwight Howard. Personally, again, I don't hate him a huge amount just because I've never been a fan of a team he was on or a fan of a team that of a rival team. Like I said, I'm just kind of indifferent to it, but when you focus in on Dwight Howard, I feel like there's just no one that actually likes him. Like, there's no one that wants him to come to their team anymore. He's, again, very talented. His attitude is shit. So, at number 4, I've got the New England Patriots quarterback, Tom Brady. So, again, I mentioned the whole Dwight Howard thing, not having a rival. It's the opposite with Tom Brady. I'm a huge Indianapolis Colts fan, and for a long time, Colts and Patriots have been, well, not for a long time, last 15 years, Colts and Patriots have been decent rivals. It was dying down after Peyton Manning left after about 2011. Seemed like it might die down a little bit. Andrew Luck goes back. Colts start getting close again. They start playing the Patriots, get in the playoffs, get thrashed, and Patriots fans start making fun of the Colts again as soon as it seemed like the Colts were about to get over the hump. And then Deflategate comes along, and that reignited everything. In my opinion, not for the right reason. Obviously, I don't think in anyone's opinion, it's in the right reason. I don't even think the Colts intended it to be this. It got from being a battle between, I don't know if it was ever a battle between the Colts and the Patriots there, but it got from being, a small accusation to an all-out war between Roger Goodell and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. And I think it's the most pointless thing ever. I'm not one to ever call it, obviously if you just want to piss off a Patriots fan, you can just call them cheaters, and that's the most common thing said, but I think deflating a football is, or taking a little bit of air out of it, it's not a big deal. The Spygate thing, I think that was a huge deal back in the day. I think that this is a lot of Roger Goodell trying to get back at the Patriots for that, but that's long in the past. That was, 10, 15 years ago. Let it go, move on. But yeah, Tom Brady again, just New England Patriots are such a hated team. Tom Brady, I think the Deflategate thing definitely didn't help him. Again, a lot of people, it's kind of the Sidney Crosby aura for Tom Brady, the pretty boy that never loses. And again, the only reason, maybe obviously the rivalry, the only reason outside of the rivalry that I don't like the Patriots is their fans. I compare Patriots fans to Yankees fans in baseball and then Ohio State fans in football. Just kind of an unrealistic view of what's going on. I'm not saying that they believe too much in their team. I don't really care about that. That is one of the things. But they just, I don't know, they got some weird till death allegiance to the Patriots, and then I think when they start sucking again, the fans are just going to go away. After the whole Brady era is over, if they do start sucking, you get that feeling from their fans. So number 3, again, another big emerger on this list, and that is Johnny Manziel. So you can talk for days about Johnny Manziel, where he should go, what he should do. I don't think you're ever going to change him. I've mentioned this before. I think for him to change, it'd have to be on him. Again, I've mentioned this before. People, for some reason, think that that once you, I'm somewhere in the middle in the whole Johnny Manziel thing. Everyone seems to agree that Johnny Manziel is, the biggest shithead in the world. He was in task with being the face of a franchise, and that it was his job to turn everything around and become basically a perfect human being. And I get that. He's far from that, from what a perfect human being would be. But to me, just because you like to party, he never did anything bad to the team. The way people treat, Johnny Manziel, they treat him like he killed someone on the team. I don't know. Again, it stems from the media coverage, the fact that the Browns suck anyway, and the fact that he couldn't really handle the spotlight too well. He's not smart with social media, I get that, but again, I'd say the biggest thing on the hate side for me for Johnny Manziel is he didn't adjust to NFL life at all. He wasn't able to mature at all, and you've got to be able to do that to some degree. He wasn't able to become a leader that he needed to be and develop the skills that he had to become a good NFL player. But that's not a reason to hate. He just didn't develop. He was I don't hate Ryan Leaf. I don't hate Jamarcus Russell. To be honest, at this point, they're just kind of bums. And Johnny Manziel will probably be the same way in a couple years. But hell, if he likes to party, let him party. I like to compare him to, if he was successful, he'd be the same way Gronk is now. People look past, Gronk parties all the time. Again, I got no problem with Gronk. I think he's awesome. But since he knows how to win and he knows how to, and he's getting it done right now, and because he's getting it done on the field, and he's brought home a Super Bowl or 2. Actually, yeah, just 1. People love him, and like I said, if Johnny Manziel had actually been able to win, no one would have given a third shit about the partying. All right, enough about Johnny Manziel. It makes my head hurt after a while to talk about him. So at number 2, I've got LeBron James, and again, another player that'll make my head hurt talking about him for too long. LeBron James is a bit of a drama queen. He uses the media spotlight to his advantage in some ways, and in some ways not. I think that the way he knows how to market himself sometimes is good, but I think him as a whole to basketball is not good. I've been a huge Pacers fan for a while, and him and the Pacers had a huge rivalry. I used to hate LeBron and the Heat. Again, the Heat were a very hateable team. But now, I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of happy, like, at times that the Cavs are struggling, just because I don't think that I just once I want him to take a chance with a decent franchise. I mean, this is never going to happen, but just a decent franchise with developing talent and let him develop alongside it. Because when he was with the Heat, obviously he was with a championship caliber team with a championship caliber front office led by Pat Riley that knows how to build championship teams. He did it with a young D Wade and then Shaq. And then you go back to one of the biggest dumpster fires of an organization, the Cleveland Cavaliers. There was no in between. The Cavs have no idea how to build a franchise. LeBron has been their only hope, and I really believe LeBron is one of the most talented players of this generation. There was a time when he was the best player in the NBA. I don't think it's that time any longer. He might be the third to fifth best player in the NBA right now. There's just better players right now, and I don't know if he'll bring home a championship, but all I know is that I'm tired of hearing about every little thing he does in the media. It's been going on for, it seems like, 10 years now. Again, a lot of this just goes back to the media. ESPN, I wish, would stop turning into TMZ. I think a lot of people feel like that. Anyway, number 1, I don't know if it's obvious at this point, but I have Alex Rodriguez. And I don't know why if Alex Rodriguez hadn't produced last year, I don't think he'd still be in the Major League Baseball. Just everything about him just screams like fake, lying, bum. I mean, I don't know. I probably dislike Alex Rodriguez as anyone on this list. Started a lot there. Anyway, I don't like Alex Rodriguez. I think that I think this is a bigger problem that stems from the Yankees. I don't think you should be able to just buy any player in Major League Baseball you want to. I mean, I get if you got the money, go for it. That's kind of been their mantra for a long time. I don't know the exact amount of years that they've been doing that. Really since Steinbrenner came in. Bro was at 72. So yeah, a long time now. And yeah, Alex Rodriguez is the worst example of that, they didn't buy him out, and after the whole steroids thing, that was just annoying to hear about after a long time. He's still in the league, and he's still on a day-to-day basis playing for one of the most hated the most hated team actually by far in Major League Baseball. There's only 2 teams that I think, or that I probably actually hate in sports, and that's the Yankees and the Patriots. There's no basketball or hockey team that I really hate. I mean, there's no team that I really hate that I just always root for, that I just deathly want to lose. I just don't care that I don't care to that degree to stress myself out. I know that there's people that do, and don't really know why. I mean, I don't control if the Patriots or Yankees ever win, and stressing myself out is just not going to get me there. So, like I said, Alex Rodriguez is just not a good figure for sports. There's no reason why he should ever have been in or ever be in Major League Baseball for the last 5 years, logically. Or not logically, just just as a role model, as a leader, as a good baseball player. I mean, he's a decent baseball player still, as a good dude, as an honest person, as someone that strives for a certain goal, as someone who can stand up for a certain thing, as someone who has any type of morals, like I said, set goals, some purpose. He's just a leaf in the wind to me. And the fact that he's still like looked up to by Yankees fans, and the fact that they still want him around, just embodies to me the entire Yankees organization. Now, again, before I end this video, I get it, I've had quite a few Yankees fans before that have left me rants on my videos saying that I'm just a anti-Yankee person or anti-Yankee fan. I don't know, whatever, anti-Yankee, I guess. And yeah, to some degree that's true, but that's just my stance on A-Rod. There obviously are good players in the Yankees organization. There are some players that they have developed. Obviously, Derek Jeter, everyone can look up to and respect, but he's gone now. And yeah. Alright, that concludes a very long video because I could talk about that subject for days. I think a lot of people could too. It's a very fun, very interesting, very controversial topic to talk about. So if you've not seen my last 2 top 10 videos, they will be in the outro, and then the link to the entire top 10 playlist. If you want to go back and check out any of them, will be in the description below. I've been talking a lot about the NFL and then hate in sports and the NCAA tournament a lot recently. Then yesterday introduced the 2016 Summer Olympics. So that's pretty much it. See ya. Like a top 4. If any of you guys are NBA fans, you know what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, I want to include my normal top 10 format. So go ahead and start at actually, I got a 3 outside, so I'll go ahead and start with that. So the first team is the Memphis Grizzlies, and I like the Grizzlies. I like what they've been able